Hello and welcome to Inside Texas Football, powered by InsideTexas.com. I am Texas Homer. You guys have not seen me on the channel, but I produce a lot of the videos. And if you go type in Texas Homer on YouTube, you'll see some other of my videos. I'm here with Coach Williams. Super excited. We're going to do some film study for you. But first, make sure to use promo code IT1 to get 2 months of InsideTexas.com for just $1. So that'll take you through the spring game, get you a while. So you should be good there. And like and subscribe, all the typical YouTuber slang that you see 24/7. All right, so first we're going to do some film study, Coach. I'm excited about this. And we're going to start with cover one. So all the Texas fans are constantly stating that we should be playing cover one 100% of the time, no matter what, press man. If they see an off corner, they get furious, right? But we're going to talk about the strengths of cover one, most certainly. We're also going to talk about why you don't play cover one 24/7. So maybe we can get a little bit of an understanding of the coverage, when to use it, and when not to use it.
Awesome, my
All
man.
right, Coach. So let's start off too. We'll just look at a diagram. We'll explain the very basics of cover one. So we'll pull that up. All right. So this is cover one. Give me the basics, Coach, of what cover one is. And then also, if you're the quarterback, if you're Quinn across there, what do you want to know when you're looking at cover one?
Yeah, cover one is pretty much man coverage with one single high safety. Somebody's playing middle. It means middle closed field. So no, most times other than that, you're not going to throw a post route or anything deep across the middle because as you see the free safety sitting there in the middle of the field. But pretty much you're manned up across the board. If you're a quarterback, if you see cover one, more than likely you're going to throw to the outside. So you're going to look at your X or your Z, or you're going to try to find the exact best matchup. It may be your Y versus a strong safety. If you have a really athletic tight end, you want to work that. But more times than not, you're going to look to throw outside the numbers or somewhere out there to your X or your Z. And that's pretty much what cover one is, and that's how you pretty much would attack it if you're a quarterback.
Cool. And then to kind of give me the breakdown. So we're used to, when we think of man, we think of like press man, like you're seeing here, right?
Right.
So give me the difference, kind of how could you read that as a quarterback? What are zone eyes? What are man eyes? What are the body language that just a fan, if you don't know anything, you could kind of get a clue of what the coverage is in just based on how the cornerback or the slot is set up?
Most times than not, you may see a corner. If he's playing press man, he's up in the receiver's face. He's not looking anywhere else but that receiver. That lets you know he's covering that guy. Unless he's really, really talented and really good, he's trying to confuse you. More times than not, he's going to be man coverage. If he's playing off ball, you can kind of tell by his alignment. If his back is to the sideline, he may be in a cover three. He may be cover three versus man because he's going to bail and he's just not going to let anything deep regardless. But he opens up the inside. So kind of lets you know it's more than likely it's not man. That would be more of a zone coverage. So you just kind of look for the alignment of the DBs and how they're lining up. Or if you go in motion, that's why you see a lot of teams use motion a lot just to see if a guy will follow a receiver to see if he's a man or not. If he doesn't follow, more than likely it's zone, unless they're really, really good and it doesn't matter. If it's man, they got more than likely to say that the F goes in motion, the nickel will follow him. And that lets you know, hey, this is man coverage no matter what. And so that's some of the key indicators you probably will look for as an offense to see if a defense is running man coverage or if they're running zone.
Yep. And then sometimes you'll see teams running a two high shell. That's just a fancy word for two safeties high up. And then they'll do what you call a rotation and they'll come down. But most of the time, that safety that's coming down, when they spin up, that free safety that's going to end up at the very top, that strong safety will start creeping up a little bit pre-snap too. So be able to watch for that. That's also a tell that players are really bad about all the time.
Yeah, definitely. We call it rock and roll coverage for the minute. Somebody's coming down the rock, somebody's rolling over top, and that was the term we use is rock and roll coverage, and we'll probably see that in a little bit in some of the film where we're going to show.
Absolutely. And yeah, don't be confused. Pre-snap teams don't always just show a single high safety. Most of the time they'll have two safeties and then they move, or else we just know immediately that it's cover one or man. All right, so here's some the major advantage of why would you play man are simply our guys are better than yours.
Sure.
And so that's your core function. There's some situational reasons, but if you're better, you want to play man because it's a simplified defense. My guy is my guy for the most part. And so there's not a lot of thinking. As long as your guys can turn and run with the other guys, then you'll be good. But we have a clip that we want to show of our guys being better than yours with A.D. Mitchell at Alabama. So we'll go to that clip right now.
So as we see here, Alabama's in man coverage. They got the single high They got the single high free safety here. And I'll go ahead and circle him, right? You got the single high free safety to let you know he's covering the middle of the field. So he's going to take away any deep post route. As I mentioned before, in man coverage, you see these corners. They're right in front of the receiver. They're playing press man. He's not looking anywhere else except the guy he's covering. Same here. This guy's peeking inside because he's trying to get a beat on the snap. You see, he has the tight end. This guy has this tight end. And then one of these backers, more than likely to his side, is going to take the running back, right? So that's how you can tell pretty much it's cover one. Everybody else, this guy may play a hole as what we call a hole defender. Pretty much, he's just in the middle of the field hanging out, right? He can spot a QB. Anybody running drag routes across middles or slants, he can pretty much cover the entire middle of the field, which helps kind of shut down that middle, right? So the middle, like I said, middle of the field is closed in cover one. So your best option as a quarterback is saying, hey, I want to throw right here to my two best athletes versus their two best athletes, and let's just see who wins. All right, so let's go ahead and play the play here.
Yep, and be looking at the top of the screen.
So we play, it's cover one. So this backer ends up blitzing, as you see. I mean, he probably has the running back. Quinn is thinking, okay, this is cover one. I'm going to throw to my best receivers. I know the middle of the field is closed. As you see, the safety is already turning towards the middle of the field here. And you see his man up. This guy is turning and running with him. He has him, and this safety has his tight end. He has the running back. But Texas is running what we call an RPO. Pretty much you're faking the run to get these guys to kind of bite down in the box so that you have a more clear picture as a quarterback to throw the ball. So he's looking for his matchups, and he pretty much throws it up to A.D. Mitchell. He ends up making a play on the ball. It's a huge catch coming out your own end zone. But yeah, you see it's communicating. Guys comes in motion. You saw when we talked about the rock and roll coverage. Guy goes in motion. This safety comes down. This one rotates to the middle of the field.
Yep.
And it's just your basic cover one and bringing a little pressure with it. And it makes an absolute excellent catch one-on-one in pretty good coverage.
That's what I was going to say. So Kool-Aid there, he's in phase. I mean, there's so in phases. Kool-Aid, he's covering AD well there, but
Right.
Quinn just kind of puts it back shoulder, and AD has a really remarkable way of adjusting the ball, like we saw in the TCU catch as well. So
True.
even when you play man coverage, and I wouldn't say AD is miles better than Kool-Aid McKinstry. Those are both NFL guys that are going high.
Right.
But that's an example of good on good. But that's where you want to look at. If you got a one-on-one option that you think you can win in man, then you take it. So that's the fun part of man. That's the side of man that all the fans love to see. But there's some realities to man too that make it a little more tricky, and why you don't see PK play it every down, much to the fans' dismay. So let's look at some of the weaknesses of man, coach. And let's start off with getting picked off. So in 1 second, we'll pull up Houston. Here we go. All right. So one of the first weaknesses to man is getting picked off. So you hear about people picks or rub routes and stuff like that. Sark does it all the time. They can do it with motion, but all that means it's just like basketball. You're using your two receivers to cross, and that's going to knock a defender off the ball and get somebody open. That's the whole point. And so let's talk about probably the most famous rub play there is, which is mesh.
Yeah, you see a lot of people run mesh. If you don't feel like you don't have the best athletes to match up, you're probably trying to just create an advantage for your offense. You can do it by formation, alignment, or running mesh, as you see what we're about to show here. But if you look at the bottom of the screen here, they're in bunch formation, so that Texas can't press up. You don't want to get mixed up. You see, got one guy on the point man of the triangle, and then these two have the other guys. But it causes a lot of confusion the way they're lined up here. So let's line up. Let's just draw it out here. More times than not, the point man, you want to press him, right? Because that's the guy you want to jam up and just throw off the whole timing of the route. He has number 3, and the way they're lined up, this guy has number 1. And we identify like this. This is number 1, this is number 2, and this is number 3. Then backside, you have man coverage here. And the way Texas is playing, this safety has this slot receiver. Everybody's running man. As you see, the Texas defense is trying to communicate, trying to say who has who. That's why all the heads are kind of turned around. They're all looking around who has who. So I'm going to run this clip here. And let me draw the mesh concept for you. Let me show you how that works. So a mesh concept is this. This guy's going to run here. We're running stick route here. He may run to the first down marker here, hook up here. This guy may run a clear over here. Um, we call it clear out or clear over. He's just running an over route just to give, make these guys run into each other, which is the goal of mesh. You want to run here. This guy runs here. This guy can run out, and then this guy he can run stick, out route. The concept of mesh is mesh in the middle, right? Make these defenders run into each other, as you see here. You might remember the Super Bowl versus the Eagles versus Patriots, where they were running and clapping hands as they ran by. Just kind of make the defenders run into each other. That's what I'll end up showing here. So let's take a look at it. As you see here, everybody's running pick routes. And I'll slow this and I'll rewind it so you guys can kind of get a look at that. Everybody's running into each other. There's a lot of confusion, which leaves this underneath guy here wide open, and the safety cannot get across. Why? The safety, Michael Taft, can't get across the cover. Why? Because he's being picked across. And you see they run into each other, which is the object of the offense. Break a tackle, and then the guy's off to the races.
Yep, huge play. And
right.
So, can we go to the point of the pick on Taft and kind of pause there? So, 1 second and stop. All right, so if you can circle Taft for the audience so they can see him right there. He's right next to number 9, yeah. All right, so you guys see how 17 is running that route. That's perfectly knocking off Taft, who has that man. And then that allows, I think, number 1 is the one who ultimately ends up catching the ball. That's how they're able to do it, and it's a huge gain. So that's the downside to man right there, is that you can get picked off, and then when you do get picked off, it's a huge gain and it's a problem. It wasn't just Taft, too, that got picked off there. We also need to pay attention to what Mesh was able to do to the linebacking core. So if you could just kind of show us where Ford and Hill are and kind of what happens there.
Yeah, so Jalen Ford is actually covering receiver 3 here. They're actually doubling him. So Keaton Crawford and Jalen Ford are double teaming Matthew Golden, who now is a Texas Longhorn, on the receiving room there. He was a dangerous threat, so they're doubling him. Anthony Hill is playing a hole defender, or what you want to call a rat defender. He's supposed to get to the middle of the field and just kind of take any of the shallow routes. He also can help out his DBs by jamming this receiver up as he comes across his face, but as you see in this clip here, he doesn't get his hands on him whatsoever, which gives him a free release. So Jalen Ford is covering number 3 receiver here. I know that's a line I'm kind of drawing through somebody, and this guy also has number 3, as I'll show. The object of his job is to jam anything that comes across this middle, anything shallow, under 5 yards, and then kind of play the middle of the field here, right? Just kind of hang out in the middle for any crossing routes. So I'm going to delete these lines so that you guys can kind of see what we're talking about. And go for here. And I'm going to play the tape for you. As you see, Jalen Ford got his eyes on 3, and number 21 is actually covering 3, right? So they're doubling him up. Anthony Hill, as I talked about, did not get his hands on this guy. Let him have a free release. He thought about it, as you see, but he didn't put his hands on him, giving him a free release. And then he's kind of playing hook curl when he should be more towards the middle of the field.
Perfect. So, that is the downsides to mesh. And as you can see, we paid for it several times in the Houston game.
Definitely.
And then let's run into the second downside of man, which is a matchup problem. And that could be, for instance, a safety on one of the fastest slots in the Big 12. So we had Jaron Thompson matched up with Monterey Baldwin, which is never going to be a winning matchup because Monterey is fast as hell. So this is what you'll see too, is kind of the problem with man. Say your guys aren't necessarily better or they aren't necessarily faster, and you're in man, they can make you pay.
Yeah, definitely. You look at the bottom of the screen here. You have Ryan Watts. You can tell he's in man. He's looking straight at the receiver. He doesn't have his eyes anywhere. Number 8, Terrence Brooks, is kind of maybe trying to confuse the receiver, show it back to the sideline, kind of show he's in cover 3, or that he's going to give an inside release. But before the snap, he's going to turn his shoulders and square up and play man. Jaron Thompson, who we talked about, is playing one of the fastest guys, not only in Big 12 in the country here, which is a matchup that Baylor very highly coveted. And then you have your free safety who's going to close the middle of the field. Like I said before, take away that deep post route. And then you have your nickel playing a tight end, linebacker, running back. So that's your basic cover 1 like we showed on the diagram before we started this whole thing. If this guy is a hole defender, playing the middle of the field, taking away any of the shallow crossing routes. So let's kind of just start the tape here. As you see, the DB up top kind of squares the shoulders, show who they have. And you see Jaron Thompson matchup problem. So as a quarterback, if you're the quarterback, you're trying to find your best matchup. As soon as you see this safety kind of walk down, you know it's man coverage. The linebacker shifted to the left to kind of let you know he doesn't have the slot. We know definitely this defensive end is not covering the slot receiver. So we got Jaron Thompson. So before the snap, this is where I'm going with the ball, no matter what.
Yep.
And the receiver just kind of runs what we call a curve route, gets the DB all turned around, and he's wide open. Pitch and catch, first down.
So yeah, and that's about as simple as it gets. Sometimes it's just reading who you can get beat. I don't know what Monterey is, but he's the 4-3 guy probably, and then you got Jaron who's not a 4-3 guy. And you can also see too just the skill of a slot on a safety when it comes to route running. Nothing wrong with it. You can get cooked going up against those fast slots like that. It's just how it is. And that's why you want to be wary of those safeties. So matchup problem is also a major issue in man if you don't have the horses to cover. And like I said, you could have the matchup advantage as a DB on 3 of their 4 receivers. If one of their 4 guys can beat one of your 5 secondary, they can still score that touchdown. So that's the tricky part with man. Okay, cool. And then the biggest issue with man as well, even though it's supposed to be a simplified coverage, the whole point you would call it is so you're not having miscommunication, but it can happen. And to Texas fans' trauma, they'll remember the last play of Texas OU.
Yeah, unfortunately, right?
Yeah. So we'll pull that up. And so break this down and kind of what happens here that we're in man and how was OU able to win that game on that final play, unfortunately.
Yeah, and inside the 10, you see a lot of teams play cover 1, mostly cover 0. Pretty much they're going to bring a ton of pressure, make the quarterback make a quick decision with the football. As you see here, Texas is in man coverage or cover 0. He has this guy. He's walking out, but he has this guy. He's lined up here. There you see these guys are communicating who has who, right? As of now, we don't know which one of these backers have the running back, but one of these guys are blitzing, and one of these guys are going to play man coverage. So let's just say he has man. And we have a tight end here. And then this corner ends up blitzing. But from the snap up, you may think he has a tight end. But the way they're lined up, you can tell this safety is covering. Yeah, because if this corner was covering his tight end, he would be lined up way tighter than what he is, playing way out there on the boundary. And more than likely, this guy's bringing pressure because it's cover 0. So let's kind of delete that and see what happens. So OU lines up, and then the receiver goes in motion. The safety doesn't follow the slot all the way across the formation. Get set. He's communicating, hey, this guy came in motion. Pretty much, I'm replacing you now. This linebacker walked up, let you know he's blitzing, so he doesn't have him. The safety has the running back. Yeah, I'm going to actually draw this out. This linebacker rotated as a defensive end pretty much. He's bringing pressure here. That means this guy has a running back. He communicated to him, said, hey, he came in motion, so now you have him. You have him. You have the running back. And this guy's blitzing off the edge. So like I said, it ends up being cover 0. Cover 0 means nobody's in the middle of the field.
Yep.
There's no extra defenders hanging out. Everybody's coming. Everybody has a man.
Well, and how you can spot it as a fan right here, I learned it as birds on a wire. You see how everyone is pretty much on the same plane?
Yeah.
You'll see that. That's really identifying. Cover 1, you'll have a safety far back. Cover 2, you have 2 safeties. But you see how these guys are all kind of on a line. When you see those birds on a wire, that's an indication that you're getting cover 0 and that they're bringing some heat.
Correct. What ends up happening is the miscommunication. When this guy comes in motion, these two don't figure out who has who, right? They kind of run like call it China stack. Pretty much you got an arrow and a corner right behind it. The linebacker clearly misses the communication, who he's covering on this play. They run like a high-low concept. The safety takes the tight end. The corner blitzes, the linebacker just completely forgets who he's covering. Which ends up to a wide open touchdown in the back of the end zone in the corner to Nick Anderson, giving the OU the lead in the game pretty much. So that's miscommunication happens all the time. And, man, it's important to know who has who before the snap and then get your eyes locked on your man and cover him.
Well, and you can see, too, is like if we run it back from the beginning, Gabriel's looking to the right side. I think he wants Stoops in the slot there. So even Gabriel doesn't think he's going to get that touchdown that wins him the game.
Yeah, definitely. You see it on the front side or play side, they have a snack, what we call snack slant. Pretty much two quick slants on the backside. This guy runs in and clear out the middle, leaving out the outside receiver for a quick slant, which he has, but Janae Barron does a great job of jamming up Stoops here, not letting him off the line for free, not letting him off the line for a free release. And once he sees that, he works backside and with the high-low concept, which is created. It's for that reason. The high-low concept is created for that reason to kind of confuse the DBs and see if they take the short, throw behind him. If they take the deep route, throw in front of him. So Jaron Tungsten took the short route, leaving out the corner route, and the miscommunication leads to a touchdown.
All right, Coach. That was cover one. It was exciting. I hope the fans can get a little better of an understanding. We want you guys to be as excited as we are when we're watching a game. If you can learn these concepts, then you start to feel psychic. You start to see you can see what's coming, and that's when you really can fall in love with football beyond just like that was a really cool touchdown or that was a big hit. The real chess of this sport is what is so cool, and if we can impart a little bit of that to you guys, that would make me super excited. So we're, of course, going to keep going on to cover two, cover three, cover four. We'll do match, and then, run plays, everything, man. So I think probably next time what we'll do is we'll stay in the single high family, and we'll do cover three. How does that sound?
That sounds good to me. I can't wait to break that down and show you guys what cover three looks like and how people disguise it.
Yeah, it's super fun coverage, super common. Texas ran it a lot too. So, all right, guys, you know the drill. Go over to InsideTexas.com, get a subscription. Code IT1 for $1 for 2 months. Is it right now? Yeah. And so you guys can read all of our analysis from Coach. He can teach you the game. Ian can teach you the game. Paul Wadlington can teach you the game. All the stuff to make you a smarter fan. So don't forget to go to InsideTexas.com, and we appreciate you guys watching. Peace.
Peace.